Hi everybody, welcome to day 20 of the Blossom Sketchbook Challenge where we're using Zentangle patterns. Today is the pattern Pozer, and I'm currently reading a book that is based on The Wizard of Oz. So that is where my picture today, my drawing, my piece of creativity is coming from. So I highly doubt that anyone else here is doing the same thing. So if you don't want to follow exactly along with me, you could maybe have a regular pathway with a landscape and background and adapt it to something that you feel brings you joy. So I'm reading this book. It's called Wretched. I'm not sure if I like it yet. I haven't finished it, so I cannot give a good review on it. But they're up to growing poppies, and I know Pozer is not necessarily a poppy, but I thought I'd go in and in my imagination create this as if it's the blooms walking through the field in The Wizard of Oz with all the red flowers growing. So I'm going to continue and add a bunch of Pozer onto my page. Okay, so I have all my posers drawn, and I'm going to take some watercolors now. And I'm going to start with yellow and use a little bit of water so that I have a nice bright yellow. The less water you have, the brighter that your paint will be. And I'm going to add a pathway starting wider at the bottom, going narrow as it goes into the distance. And I'm going to fill this in with some yellow paint. Next, I'm going to take some blues and I am going to add a sky in. I'm projecting that I'm using reds for the blossoms, otherwise maybe I could have done a sunset, but mine is going to take place in the daytime and I'm going to use some blue. I'm going to use some greens to go next to my pathway, and I am going to have my green with my brush, apply it mostly going in up and down directions as if that's the way the grass is growing. And I have some yellow green, I have some darker greens, and I'm just going to put a light coat down, I shouldn't say light, it is bright, but more like just a kind of messy coat down here. So I'm going to play around with my Neocolor 2, which are water soluble, and I have a red here, and to make red darker you could use a complementary color, which is the color across from it on the color wheel. So for red it would be green, so green actually makes red darker. And I'm going to do a lot of layering here. So I'm going to start with, I started off neat and then I realized, well, I really don't need to be so neat because I'm going to be going in a looser style here. And I really am practicing being looser, going from painting and drawing things that are more fine detail and realistic, thinking back now and trying to recreate my art and just have a freer, looser style. Sometimes I forget. So you can see I start being neat here and then I'm like, nope, I'm just going to go in and start coloring everything in. And then I'm going to take the green, and where I would have some shadows, if you were thinking about graphite with overlapping, I'm going to go in with the green and add a little bit of green. You could do all the coloring part of this first, but if you're trying the green for the first time, I would recommend doing one at a time and just making sure you even like it, and maybe just doing it on some of them and not all of them. So I have my paintbrush here, I have a little bit of water, and now I'm doing some blending on this Pozer. my Pozer is drying. My green watercolor is now dry. I'm going to go back in and use the Neocolor 2 as a dry medium to add a little bit more texture, going in vertical, short lines up and down to just have a little bit more of a grass look to it. So I do like having lots of layers. Going in, you could use colored pencil here too if you prefer. And I am marking on the side as I'm working the different materials that I'm using because I don't remember. Like, I'll go back later and be like, I think I used this and not really know. And there's something I really love. I want to be able to use that again and use that technique again. So I feel like my pathway, since it is the Wizard of Oz inspired, needs a little bit of sparkle to it. So I have these beautiful, beautiful watercolors here that are super glittery. I'm not sure how it's going to show on the camera, but in real life, in person, it is just so beautiful. It's looking a little bit more like a copper here, but it is super shiny, and if I lift the paper in a minute, then maybe you'll be able to see it a little bit better. But you could use anything that's shiny if you're following along with me. Any type of gold watercolor or gold magicals would work over this yellow, so you can see a little bit of the shimmer here. So I'm going to go back in with a little bit more of the Neocolor and just do a little bit more shading with red, and getting a little bit more shadows in here and brightening up some areas as well. So I want a little bit of a brighter look than a washed out look. So over the years, a lot of my artwork has consisted of collage, and in my collages, I use fabric. So I just save little pieces of fabric, whether it be things that people are throwing away, things that I have used in the past when I used to do quilt making, or even old shirts, clothing, things like that. If I like the fabric or the pattern, if I'm getting rid of it, I will save it and use it for my artwork and actually cut it up. So these are just little scraps. I don't even remember where this color is from, but I'm going to add this into the sky using some matte medium, putting it down, and I'm just going to use my fingers here, but feel free to use a brush. If you have nice nails, it does get all over your nails. You may not want to be using your fingers, but I'd rather get my fingers messy than have more brushes get ruined from the process. I do have ones that are dedicated to using materials like Mod Podge and matte medium, but again, I don't mind just using my fingers. So I'm going to cover up the sky. There's these little bits of silver that remind me of stars on here too, little twinkling pieces. Again, not super getting caught on the camera so great, but I really do like the effect of this. So I feel like glitter is a love-hate relationship for some people, but I absolutely love it. I probably am still finding glitter from last Christmas, and it's November, and because everything around the holidays for me has glitter on it. So I have been just dying to use this blue glitter that I randomly bought at Michael's craft store, and I'm going to add a little bit to the sky just to have a little bit more shimmer to it. So I'm going to sprinkle it on, and then I have a little garbage next to me. I'm just going to shake off the extra part, and it just has a really nice look to it. And it was still wet from my matte medium, so it's just sticking right to it. And then just give it a little shake over garbage so that you're not finding it everywhere for the next couple of weeks. So I really hope that you enjoyed, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of variations on this with the ones that you share with me, since, like I said, I was reading The Wizard of Oz as I did this. Pozer's a great blossom tangle. Absolutely love it. And I hope you enjoyed. I hope to see you back here tomorrow on day 21 to create with me. And actually, I'm gonna, you know what, one more thing. These little pieces, it is a little messy looking. Maybe add just a little bit of blue Neocolor just around the edges if it's dry. All right, please subscribe to my station if you haven't already done so. I would just love to hit 1,000 viewers by the end of the month, the end of November. I would be super grateful and thankful. All right, guys, everybody have a wonderful day. Make it a wonderful one for you. I hope you get to spend at least 10 minutes creating.